A couple things here. I got two versions of the deck, right? This is going to be the one that I played, and then there's a couple minor little changes, like two cards in an alternative version of the deck that could make quite a big difference. It's up to you what you guys want to play. This one has Muzzle because Muzzle is honestly one of my favorite cards in the game, and Muzzle is one of our only control options, like hard control options, in addition to Yennefer's Invocation, and also Muzzle gives Spying for Terra Nova. So, couple things there, couple reasons why I kept Muzzle in the list. I don't know what everybody else is playing, but I do know that I like Muzzle quite a bit. Now, what I've been seeing on ladder at least has had the Joachim in the deck still. I'm not a huge fan of going super tall because that's all about what it does. I kind of like using the coup more like spontaneously, giving something Spying like their hero card and just trying to make it work that way. I find it's a little bit more interesting for me. Sometimes you can pull off crazier combos as well. However, sometimes you do run into a situation where you take Yennefer's Invocation and you can't replay that same card the same round. So really, there's a lot of debate what you could put in the top end, and I'll just show you what I mean. This is a healthy consideration here. You'll notice that this version doesn't have Lydia. The other one does, okay? Lydia would be 9 provision. I'll show you here real quick. When they're all moving, it's hard to tell, eh? This one. So Lydia is really good for creating and playing, getting assimilate procs, getting something that we can use for utility in whatever situation we're in. I really like this card. You can have it. And then another card that I did try on the first day of the patch, like, well, maybe second day of the patch, whenever I got around to playing that first day, Angelim. I tried it. I thought it would be really good because of all the new artifacts in the game, but it actually wasn't, because when you're playing decks like Skellige, you're playing decks like Dwarves and all that type of stuff, you're running into situations where they're not even running artifacts a lot of the time, right? And you're playing this card for 3 points. So it's possible to still win like that, but I don't think it's necessary right now. Really tried it, but if more scenarios are going to be played, then maybe there'd be more of a reason to include that later on. And another card that you can put in is Artorias Vigo, right? Because you have the Assimilate, you have the Create and Play, a bronze card, and you get 5 choices from all of our Create and Plays for the rest of the game if you play the Rune Mage. Now, the problem here with the Artorias play was I tried it. I found that I was wanting to take Artorias before I played Rune Mage, and then we were getting bad options in the bronze end, right? Oftentimes, we wanted to look for something like an Illusionist, or we wanted to look for something like another Torturer if we found like a really good copy in round 1, and we were just missing our mark here. We're getting, not really the best options. We're pulling into like the Mage Assassin, we're pulling into stuff like that. Just didn't really make sense. So I opted to take out the Vigo for that reason, and it hurts, but it had to be done. So that's basically it. I found that this deck overall had more utility. There's also a third option that I won't include, with taking out Coup altogether and just saying forget about Coup. We'll keep everything the way it is now. We'll put a Lydia and we'll put something else in, and just saying Coup is a trap. But I think the second you start doing that, then that's actually a trap itself. So to go over the strategy of the deck, we'll explain a few of the cards here. You want to essentially get your Assimilate engines on the board. So cards with the Assimilate tag, like the Artaud Terra Nova, and we have the Brathens, we have the Mage Torturers, right? When you have all these cards coming down, then you want to go and you want to use cards that create and play other cards. So an example which would be Mushy Truffle, that creates a copy of one of our bonded bronze units. So that's one create and play. We have the Golden Froth that we get to use from the Order, which is the second create and play. We've got the Rune Mage that can create and play something, right? That also creates and plays something. And depending on what it creates and plays, like let's say we take the Dazbog Runestone, right? We might even get like another Diplomacy and get like a triple proc. That's why Rune Mage is just really good in this deck for the provisions that it is, and why Lydia didn't make the cut right now. But again, that's certainly an option. Now, getting tons of procs, tons of boosts on our engines that we have, and of course having more options for every other create and play that we have for the rest of the game. And so that basically is including bribery. It's going to be including the leader ability that we have. It's going to be including the Imperial diplomacy, right? Like there's so many different things that we're going to be getting more choices with. So it just feels pretty good. In that sense, we can make sure that we're not high rolling. We're actually dialing in a little bit more. But for that reason, bribery comes back in. Bribery was hit or miss maybe a patch or two ago, because obviously you get 3 choices. They could all be bad. It could just be an expensive Diplo. But now it feels really good because we're pretty much getting a trade up on provisions from what we pull, right? We've got 5 shots to get a good card, and it just feels pretty good. So that's that. We have 1 tall removal. We have 1 valuable engine removal. I think that's good in that slot. We have some stuff for thinning with the Blightmakers and the tempo. We don't have a lot of tempo, so it's nice to have things like this taken in round 1. And then, of course, just a few tactics in the deck, right? Diplo is really good for Assimilate, but the Jousts are here just for a little bit of control, and as well to get more tactics in the deck for the Yankalviet, because we want to be able to sort our deck from highest to lowest provisions, and obviously we bump it up more within the deck the more tactics we have in the deck. So that just basically explains some of the cards there. In this version here, I put Peller because there's going to be times where we want to get around the Defender, and I didn't have space in this version to go for something like a Diviner, but I found space to put a Diviner in the other version. I like the Diviner because it also has Assimilate. It does a little bit more than the Peller for that reason, right? But it would come at the expense of a Remedy, and I felt like there's going to be a lot of valuable bronze cards right now that we want to replay from the opponent's grave to take away some of the value from what they're doing. So that's why I went with Peller in this one, but you can change it up however which way you like. And that's pretty much it. Emissary for proactivity. If we, are on blue coin and we can just pump that onto the lamp or something like that. But pretty good overall. I took it from rank 2 mid mosaic to rank 2 full mosaic. Obviously fumbling with different versions of the deck cost me a couple games, but I included what I had once I found something that I was comfortable with. And I'll show you real quick, just because I don't know if I did anything to that, so I'm not going to save it. But this is what I decided in my head would be the final version after playing. It's just swapping out Peller for Diviner for that extra engine, right? We still have that utility, the Purify, and then Lydia comes in, Muzzle goes out. But I can't say I love Muzzle coming out, like, especially in matchups like Dwarves and stuff like that. Muzzle's actually really good for snagging carryover and all that fun stuff, but I think it's still winnable with a deck like this. Overall, it just felt like I wanted like a little bit more utility, a little bit more create and play, and a little bit more synergy with the Imperial Diviner opposed to the Peller. But that's pretty much it. Couple changes there, very small things that'll pretty much play the same way regardless. I'll put both of the decks in the description for you guys so you guys can do what you like, and feel free to make any adjustments that you like. I'm sure some of you guys, like I said, are going to want to put your Joaquin back in. That's fine. Maybe in this event you take out something like the Lydia instead, and maybe the Diviner there to put the Joaquin, because this is 1 create and play, whereas this is 2. And this is 2, potentially 3, right? So that's why this one comes out. But either way, figure it out. And I'll be back tomorrow with another deck guide from a different faction, different strategy altogether. Let me know what you guys want to see in the comments below so I can prioritize my videos, right? This should be a tough one, eh? We got Imposter Nilfgaard against us. Actually, a really good round 1 hand. We could tuck that back. We can keep that. We can put this back, actually. And maybe something like Remedy. Problem is I expect Nilfgaard to push, but we have our thinning all in order, so I think that we can actually just play something like the Calvi at first. They took yen on it. That's really not a big deal.
Please wait, Your Excellency. I'm falling behind.
I shall not repeat Emir's mistakes.
I see.
Defeat them with hunger, crush them with thirst.
I believe that we should be able to get out of the round at 7 if we need to. Just because we have this thin, right? It's pretty good. We'll see here. They're getting 2 passive points on the next turn. Nothing for Illusionist here. Nothing I really want to give Spying to. I don't want to have to use yen just because, you know, I think we'll take this. Because if they pass, there's a chance that we could just play to 4 and then get it over with, right? But otherwise, I think I'm just going to concede at this. Like, yeah, they're pulling a lot of stops to get ahead here, and I don't think it's that important. We'll see. Puts him down to 16 and keeps us at 22. It's like the point of no return, though, really. I think we'll just pass and defend the bleed. Like, big swings here early on. Now, if they push me, what else are we gonna get? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I think we just keep it the way it is. If they push me, we have really good answers, right? Mushy Truffle, Illusionists into the Pikemen. It's like a reverse Pikeman swarm. I think they should be a little bit worried about that. Mind you, they can leader it and copy it, but we'll get the jump on it first, and then we have the muzzle too. I want to know if it's worth doing anything about this. They get carryover, maybe we work on carryover as well. We'll put this here, we'll get the pikemen down, and maybe we could start chipping at that, so that if they do bleed us a little bit, we could take a muzzle. And they will. Actually, what's worse? Defense probably worse. But it gives it spying, and they can make copies of it, right? I think we're actually supposed to take... We're supposed to take that.
Everyone has their secrets.
We
Everyone.
really hope they hit good. Just one more hit. There we go. We'll take a muzzle on that next turn. Okay.
Impertinence is the one thing I cannot
That's
abide.
actually a pretty big problem. We'll take this here. And what else? No need to leader or panic. They'll take Brathens for sure. Terra Nova's not set up for them just yet, right? So we have to play Brathens next, basically. I don't anticipate using a boost. Yeah, it's got to be Brathens here.
My loyalty is to Imperial coin under the face of the
We'll give them obviously the +1, but you can't really do anything else about it. Save the leader just cause, you know.
The mistake stars reflected in a pond from the night sky.
I don't think we played a tactic this round.
I need not spill blood to watch you suffer like never before.
I wonder if they're going to shuffle this back and replay it. I think we're supposed to just stay on this here, even if it means boosting.
Victory is on the wind.
There's our tactic we're looking for. And
I know the truth. I simply want
maybe we just keep this out of sight too. Just give spine to that. I don't think we have to play our last card. Yeah. So we should just be alright, right? We have Terra Nova, we've got the carryover here that they didn't get from the Ciri. We're going to pull into the Rune Mage, Bribery, and Coup. How much do I like Coup here, though? What would be my next choice? Coup could be 3 points. It could actually be a lot more. You know what? I think I like that better just in case. We'll just play it for points.
Do I enjoy torture?
Just because I have so many procs, right? That the value from that's going to be quite crazy. Now, I'm a little bit worried they might be going tall at the end, but it feels like I should be playing Terra Nova first. We might actually play for negative points, though. We'll play this first. Actually, and we'll play this first. Eight's probably safer. But 5 for the content, you know?
I will not have you gaze at me so.
How did that incantation go?
I think we have to play Terran over here just so I can start getting the procs. It's destroy an enemy unit, yeah.
Quite the menial task.
that's perfect, I suppose.
Dance, my lovely, dance!
So they'll just last say switch it up. I guess that's fine. Skellige has damage to get around Defender. Northern Realms will have boost for us. Monsters I don't think will do a lot. Actually, Scoia'tael's got a lot of good bronzes right now. Unfortunately, that's the best we've got. It should just be enough points, though. Even if they do swap it, sure. They play that, we get a... Okay, a 1. I thought it was going to be a 4. There we go. Alright, so we're playing against Dwarves here, and I'm actually pretty confident with this one, especially the fact that we're on red coin, because if we can pull into stuff like Muzzle, we should be pretty good, right? Coup would be also nice. I think Purify is really going to clean house here. Probably put back that. Got some good spying options. I don't know if 2's overly necessary, but I think that the Remedy's probably worse. So we'll just, yeah. So ultimately, it involves us killing something and then being able to play it off Truffle. I don't know how we're going to do that, but we have a Joust.
We'll pay men back for their persecution.
I think it really just comes down to slamming down Calviet, but at the same time, yeah, it's not hurting us to do that. Like, they might try and bleed us, but I think they're going to try and bleed us either way. I don't know why they have Lamp, though. They're going to be filling the row with cards they don't really need.
Ever had your kneecap broken?
That's pretty good value there. This should be nice, though. If we take Illusionists on these, if we can keep them going, it's pretty cool. I think we're supposed to just Joust. That's kind of what we want to see, right? We could start doing things with that. I just have to decide if I want to spend Brathens here. It might be worth it. It might not be, right? I don't think it is.
Everyone has their secrets. Everyone.
Really wish we had our muzzle here, but at least we could purify that.
Ye who wander on the gale, ye we summon, ye we call.
I'm feeling sleepy, grumpy, dopey, and thoughtful.
This is also another good card that we can get from the Illusionist. I think we're allowed to go and play this,
Spill blood to make you suffer like never before.
just so that we have something set up, but it's probably not going to be what we end up playing off Terra Nova. I think this is where we pass, though. Yeah. Just too big of a lead, too much of a swing. And because we have Calviet now, we can take the muzzle if they go ahead and they play, obviously, like one of the Resilience carryover cards. That's really good. Let's see here. We got the bonded effect. I don't know if we're going to have to give anything else. I think that's probably a pass. I think Ku's actually pretty good. Next card's going to be Bribery. Bribery would be good for round 3. So we'll take it now, and then we'll just make another one. I think it's what we're supposed to do, right? I think we actually take Transform Rowdy Dwarf, boost adjacent units by the amount of their total armor. We don't have that. It's going to play for 7. Oniro is actually nice here. We'll go Oniro. And then we have to go with the Bribery. I'm thinking it's one of those things. There we go. It's like a lot of points. And full power. We'll do this. I think we want to protect, like, the cards we're going to take with us. You know what I mean? If they play Broover, yeah, we'll just take it. That's a lot of points, though. And I think we want to stay ahead, don't we? Probably this.
Her grace will not be pleased.
We're just squeezing by with this whole thing. We should be able to get out of this round with playing Ku. Yeah, because they're full. Okay. So we should just be able to play Rune Mage. Yeah. Let's go with this. Uh, 5 points probably the most, yeah? Now, if I hit armor, we lose. So I think we're supposed to play. It's too risky. That would have been actually crazy, though. It's just too much of a high roll here. We did okay, though. Like, look at this. We got... Well, Brewer's not really doing a whole lot here, but it's at least something. I think it's Blightmaker. Double Blightmakers. Right? One off the Oniro. Hopefully they don't have Igni. Okay, then it doesn't matter. We should just be good here, I think.
No good wine will come from you, not even the compost.
You know, I wonder if I would take out Ku to put Lydia. It's tough. Alright, so the first 2 games were live commentary, but the next 3 are going to be post-game commentary, just because I was on the phone when I was playing the games. But either way, here we are, we're back against Inspired Zeal, Northern Realms. I find at this point of the season we're getting to the point where there's a little bit less experimentation. People are starting to form just kind of regular decks and just taking what they think are going to be, you know, the most concrete options from the new cards. So I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm thinking at this point. I mean, seeing Siege round 1, turn 1 is really good, right? This kind of gives me an indication of what type of deck it is. I decided to go ahead and take a Joust here just because I feel like if we play somewhat uninteractive, then they might just, you know, not really get value from the scenario here. We have the option to pass at 7 too, and if we can deny enough value from the scenario, we might even take the round. So seeing something like Henselt come down into, obviously, procking this and then Rafford's Vengeance, I think that that's like a huge commitment for them round 1. They use the leader chart as well, cycle things out, like...
Scrub this, scrub that, for fuck's sake, I'm sick of these issues.
I would feel a little more inclined to play something like Crystal Skull opposed to the shield here, like the engineering solution, but they're just lucky we don't have locks because Rafford's would have been a really good lock for us. At this point though, 29 points. We have to play to 7. Might as well paste on that, give it spying, right? Because we have plenty mages in this deck, and they're all going to proc the secondary effect of the Raffords, right? And sure enough, they go and play here, they're up by too many points. We just pass. They're not getting the tempo pass. We'll just leave it at that. That's the thing that I don't like about Blue Coin, is that oftentimes you commit more than what you need to, and it could very well cost you the game, right? I prefer red, not just because I want to abuse the coin, but I also just kind of want to have that information, right? Okay, what are they willing to commit? And then you can sort of match accordingly. Now looking at things here, if we don't take muzzle on something like that, then they just go ahead and they use it. They have winch and all that type of stuff. So I want to make sure that they're not going to be pushing and thinking 2-0 is a potential here. So I think what they did was they were worried that we were going to draw a scenario with our leader. And so they wanted to go ahead and basically prevent that from happening round 1. Because with the mage, right, the new rune mage, you're getting the 5 options from leaders. So saving that for like a round 3 might actually be kind of bad for them. Now, obviously we want to defend the card here, but it makes sense to just go and put something like the Mushy Truffle here, get the carryover. That's 6 points for round 3 that we might need, and really doesn't matter too much. At this point, I'm pretty confident that we're going to win the game because we're going to be top decking so well. And when we go into round 3 and use Truffle as carryover, we're probably not going to have access to our second Illusionist. So basically, we're not going to be getting that bonded. So oftentimes, you'll see me take a mulligan on that Illusionist here, just knowing that it might not be as good at this point, right? And that's one of the reasons why the Joachim is actually not a bad option, because if you could take Blightmakers early, then you can go ahead and basically draw into those with the Joachim and do the whole Illusionist round 3. However, let's go ahead and take that, get it warmed up. You see what I mean? We're going to get crew with mages next turn if we play like a Brathens or a Blightmaker. But yeah, I mean, with the new Rune Mage, it made it so that Mushy Truffle or Muzzle, something of that sort, would have to come out of the deck. In this case, I decided Joachim instead because I felt like I wanted to have a bunch of double procs and just play about it that way. You see that synergy though? We get to play a Blightmaker, and then we get the second proc here. And I was on the phone, like I said, I got kind of cocky, like, and I just got distracted showing my buddy, and I was like laughing, like, look at this, huh? And you know, I accidentally misplayed that. So we would have actually got 2 more points if we put the Sorceress beside the Rafford's Vengeance, but that's what you get for, you know, being greedy, getting cocky, whatever, overconfident. And I'm like telling him at this point when we're like talking, you know, man, I don't know if I want to include this game anymore, but you know what? Nah, we're going to include it. We make up for it though.
My loyalty is to Imperial coin, not to the face depicted thereon.
It's got to be the Informant still for the Frigate. I think it's just too many points to not do.
Everyone has their secrets. Everyone.
And we have no more Assimilate, like units in hand or engines. So there are thoughts to like take Truffle soon, but at the same time, we only have that one more unit, that last unit being the Duchess, that we would play. And draw a card, right? So I'm not like super worried about it. I just decided to go ahead and take that away right now because they boosted it up. It's gonna get, you know, obviously in order again soon. So the sooner we take care of it, the better, and the better chance as well that Rafford sticks. So, and I mean, Gerhardt's got to be the one. We're getting 2 assimilate procs with this one too, and I wish we had space on the front row because we would have got the extra points. But so I'm looking at what's going to generate the most points for me here, right? And we didn't get to finish the game. But yeah, besides that little hiccup there at the beginning of the round, I think that was a really sweet game. The next one here, we got Nilfgaard Double Cross, and now theirs is going to be a little different than what we have here. Enforcer's a nice touch. So the weather here is getting much nicer. It's feeling like actual spring. Some days are feeling like, you know, summer's actually possible this year. So I started to feel more motivated to like get on my pristine eating habits, you know what I mean? So I've been making much healthier choices lately as far as what I've been eating. At first I was like a little bit tired because I felt like I wasn't eating as much, and believe it or not, that had an impact, but now I'm feeling pretty good overall.
Is she a fine vintage mate?
But yeah, it's nice to be able to like grind games and all that, but also, you know, grinding life is important too, so I'm gonna spend a lot of time exercising over the next little while. We got that Enforcer. I'm really just trying to take out. Like, if I had coup in hand, that would be the perfect option, but unfortunately we don't.
Onward, onward, to be showered with Imperial gold.
It's very difficult to not want to take something like that, right? 15-point defender plus basically the extra tactic card that it plays, right? So you're getting a double assimilate proc for when we play it, but also the 15-point removal. Now, it seems like a no-brainer. I didn't go ahead and purify the Joachim with the Peller just because, honestly, they ping it down. They could still get a death blow with the coup, so it doesn't really matter that much. Wait, is this the game Yeah, I think this is that game. When you jam a lot, sometimes parts of, or memories of, like, certain parts of them get, like, kind of mixed up. But I think, yeah. I think the big shocker is about to happen here. Yeah, you guessed it. So how do we not continue to play, right? I take a fur cart here just because I feel like, you know, it wouldn't be a bad idea. We start cycling through bronze tactics later on in the game or something like that, you know? I think in that event they should have taken the bleeding, right? Could have put bleeding on a 2, poison the 4.
Everyone has their secrets.
And, you know, obviously, guys, like, I show you guys the matches that I play, you know? And as far as what the opponent does, I can't control that. So, you know, it is what it is. I had a couple, like there was a couple games in my Monsters video the other day where, you know, the opponent did a couple questionable things as well. But these things are bound to happen. Like at the beginning of the season when you're rank 3 going to, you know, 0 again, right? There's going to be a little bit of that, as well as the fact that, you know, all these new cards and balance changes came out, so we all get pretty eager and more inclined to make mistakes, I suppose. I greed it here, by the way, because I know that they're probably going to continue to play, and I want them to think that I have a way to actually remove that 14. So why don't we just go and basically try and mess up their stuff in the meantime? That was kind of the idea that I had, right? But that's like so greedy. I think obviously taking the other assimilate engine would have been like the safer play, but it is what it is. I think we saw some pretty good commitments here, and I'm thinking if I take this here, I might actually be able to win. And I see a Rot Tosser. So this is like our last chance. If they can't play a unit, then we just remove that, and then we're in a situation where we're winning on even, right? So we'll see what they have in hand. And I'm just explaining this card to my buddy at the time, because I think it's one of my... It's got to be top 3. That Giant Toad, and I'm still deciding the third one. Probably that Skellige card, the Bronze 5p. Increasing raid damage is kind of sweet. It's kind of busted though, seeing it in play. And now they play, we just take the carryover, no problem, right? And they had no way to defend that, so like we're in a top-notch spot here. And we have junk we can play, so kind of works. So in this situation, I opt to play because there's no reason not to. If we can get ahead by a couple points, or even a lot of points, like, that's a bad roll, unfortunately, for this round, but...
Lost spirit devoid of name, but now a veil of pain.
So the idea in my head here is basically, okay, if they take a leader twice, and they play their last card, can they do more than 20 points? And we know what they have in hand because, you know, Terra Nova was rolled with our leader. So it seems to work out quite well. I think that what they should have done, though, was play Terra Nova first, because they would have had to go all in anyways. They would have got the extra couple points there for the Assimilate procs. But all in all, they just squeezed the points here. But it was kind of risky. Now, issue that I'm having here is obviously board space, right? We're less 1. If I had maybe one of those spying units out of the way, we would have just been fine, but... I'm willing to trade this because they used both leaders of the Damien. They used Masquerade Ball, Terra Nova, Damien, Duateur, and they got the Defender, like tons of stuff, right? So I feel like we just have a lot more left. And a really good advantage here because we go and take the Calviate. So we're top decking into Terra Nova, Brathen's Muzzle, right? And then if we take more mulligans, then we're going to get stuff like bribery and all that fun stuff. So we know those are the ones. I think that it's probably worth better, you know, than the Remedy and the Illusionist. Like, that just feels fine.
Gotcha, puppy.
We just take the bribery here. We'll get the 5 choices, right? And then we just pull. You know what I could have done, though? I could have taken the Damien. But I just wanted to flex the double Terra Nova. Damien's not a bad idea, though. So now all we have to do is kind of roll out the Mage, roll out the Brathens, and then just try and protect things with a Defender. But I'm trying to sequence it properly just so that we, you know, obviously we stay ahead. I don't take this out with the Joust because if they give Spying a couple times, it's fine. We get a pretty good muzzle, right? If they don't proc any sort of, you know, status this coming turn, we can Joust it later on. That's kind of the idea. Just trying to get down as many of these engines as possible before we use the Defender. And I just decide there, you know what? I think that's good, right? We have a pretty substantial lead here and a few engines on the board, so even if they take care of one, I don't think it's a huge difference. And that's just a little bit too slow of a tempo play for this round. So I decided at this point I don't want to play Brathens yet because we're going to be pulling Emissary in a situation like that, which makes us go tall. I'd rather do it once the Defender's down, just because at this point I'm pretty confident. And you know what I mean? Like, they would have been able to get a better Yen otherwise. And there's no target for the Informant. We just go ahead and take that there. We hope they don't have a Vincent in hand. It's possible that they do, right? Because they're playing a lot of status. And unfortunately we don't take anything really that great here, but it's more than enough to win the game. And I don't really regret not taking Damien. I think it's just fine the way it is. We got one last game here. It's going to be Deadeye Ambush, Scoia'tael, and I'm actually pretty worried about this one here because we don't have like the same sort of tempo, I think, as they do in round 1, especially if they jam Scenario in order to win on even. And then once we put down Calviet and we top deck into all of our good cards, then they're just going to push us and try to extract all these good cards, right? And so seeing a Brick with the Mage and seeing a couple tourney Jousts in hand round 1 for me feels pretty uncomfortable. So I just gotta start slam jamming points here and just like get down 8, Flimp Lamp soon, hopefully get a couple things we can remove. But when I see Scenario like that, I kind of have an idea that it's not going to work out too well. I think the best thing we can do here is respect that, because they're going to have a few engines. There's going to be the Commandos, and then probably the, I think it's the Swordmaster, right? Not much else that's an actual engine. Like Isengram, yes, but we can muzzle that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That one. The issue, though, is that even if we go and take a Joust on it, whatever elf they play next, they're still going to be able to get ahead. So it is what it is. Unless they just, for whatever reason, don't. They just play like a special, then maybe there's a chance, right? So that's kind of a big deal. So I decided that we're losing uneven. It's happening. They took the Finn, Scenarios proc, Venedane's out, whatever the case. Maybe we can get some more commitments. Maybe we can try and get something sorted out for later for ourselves. So I'm thinking, okay, if I can somehow take like a Venedane here, I can rotate back the Waylays into my deck. And then maybe take Simlas if we can coup one later. And it's significant because the Simlas bringing out the Waylays, like, it's gonna get rid of their Deadeyes perfectly. So it's kind of like a counter to the Swarm, a counter to the Verno. But with a push like that, at 5 cards, you gotta just, you know, let them have it at this point. We got those. Just tuck them back, like I said, and then we know we're going to be pulling into our best cards, so at least we can try and stay card up and defend that so we don't go card down into round 3 or get 2-0'd or whatever the case. This kind of works like that. And I feel like if we can survive the round, we'll survive the game, basically. Obviously, it would be nice here to go ahead and play something like Truffle, but we can't afford to do that with, you know, just the deficit we have, so we gotta put out a strong engine, and I figure get it out early so that it'll actually count, right? When you try and hold on to stuff like Brathens and Terra Nova for too long, you just lose a lot of the value of the card, right? I feel like our Brathens is almost... It's arguably almost more important in a short round 3 just because the swing with an Emissary, but it's also more vulnerable. Terra Nova splits it up quite well. The fact that we have Venedane right now, it guarantees us like a pretty good swing with the Terra Nova. It didn't matter to me what I had, I was going to flip it anyways. I didn't think that the Swordmaster would actually stick around long enough to benefit from it, so I wanted to secure the points because it'd be really easy for them to ping a 1 off that and get some pretty good value. And I do this here because I don't think Coup and Informant are actually going to be as good as it looks, right? Like, just based on the board state right now. And obviously we get really good value from the Waylays, but if we could somehow get a pass, then that's more carryover we could potentially have if we maybe pull into a Coup and do that whole thing that way. So that's just brutal. Now, we have to sort of take away from the Swarm as much as we can soon, but I also want to keep the Assimilate engines going. So I'm looking for, basically, you know, a couple procs here. We'll take leader as well, just to get a comfortable lead. I wouldn't normally consider doing the whole leader thing at this point, but I feel like the longer we wait, then the better cards they're going to play, and we need to get a healthy lead on them here. Having a little more information on what they're going to be playing for the next couple cards tells me kind of how to play my rows. We'll start splitting the rows up a little bit, putting a couple more cards on the ranged row, if possible, right? Now, we actually sit on a lead, so taking Vernal here is big for us, because if I can save Truffle, and I can put down Vernal round 3, that's like, what, 17 points? And it's starting to look like what I want to do is actually working. We just go for Anti-Swarm here, take out that, because we know Isengrim's the best card they have left, and it won't be enough, so they'll probably have to pass. I guess they're just trading their junk. And that's just too much, because even Isengrim now doesn't get them ahead. We know we're expecting a pass, and we can just go into round 3 with the carryover. We're top decking into the Verno, and then we're getting the rest of our high-end golds because of the Calviet assortment, right? And earlier I said if we can survive the round, we pretty much survive the game. This is exactly what I mean here, right? I think that they've pretty much exhausted what they have. We have a perfect muzzle with the Isengrim if they play it somewhat early. And I just take it here. Little intimidation, you know? Just swing the points and see if they decide to quit. Didn't work out how I planned, but it's fine. I think it's always just going to be a Blightmaker. I'm just holding on for a better muzzle. I don't know if it's going to happen, really. We take the other Vernal, right? I was thinking, okay, do we take it offensively just to be a rat, or do we just play it on the range row? But we didn't have time for it.